Fellow readers, I just finished Ender's Shadow. This is the parallel story that ties into Ender's Game, and it follows the character of Bean, who comes from a orphan background in Rotterdam. It was actually a good read, and what I want to talk about is, did I think that this was good, or does it compare to Ender's Game? Honestly, I thought this was a good read. Is it better than Ender's Game? Not from what I remember, but it's a little bit different. I feel like Ender's Game was more action-based, and this is more along the lines of politics, about coming of age for Bean, who is a genius. If you've never read this book, without getting into big spoilers, Bean comes from, a terrible childhood. He's extremely small, grows up in this rough area of Rotterdam. He has to fend for himself. But despite his small size, he is incredibly intelligent, and it follows his story. And I definitely thought I finished it in like 2 days. I thought it was a quick read. I'm not going to say it's the best book of all time, and I'm not going to say that it's better than Ender's Game, but I definitely think from my perspective, it compares to Ender's Game from what I remember of Ender's Game in terms of enjoyment. I enjoyed the novel. I like politics. I'm fascinated by government. I'm fascinated by diplomacy and, geopolitics and the United Nations and things of that nature. And I think Bean is definitely one of those future diplomatic geniuses, master strategists, very extremely logical. And I enjoyed it. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Have you read Ender's Shadow? Let me know in the comments what you thought. I don't want to get into big spoilers, but some people like to compare it to Ender's Game, and I don't really think it's really fair to compare the two because they're kind of different. They're two different characters. Like I said, Ender's Game felt more action-based and quick-paced. Ender's Shadow's more slow. It's more of a slow pace, and Bean is not Ender. He's totally different. I like the character of Bean. I like his backstory. I like Sister Carletta, who helped Bean on his journey find out more about himself. That's not a big spoiler. You come to know this very quickly. I liked her character. Sister Carletta is really cool. I like what they did with this character. I'm not going to say it's the best sci-fi book ever written, but I'm also not going to say it was terrible and I couldn't, DNF, couldn't finish it. No, that's not true. I enjoyed it. But I thought I would read this book. It was on display at the library right there in the front row for Sci-Fi Week, whatever they were having, some kind of a sci-fi display. And I was like, I'll give this a shot because I enjoyed Ender's Game. But honestly, I don't know if the Ender's series is great the whole way through. Like, I know Ender's Game, a lot of people like that. I enjoyed it. I think a lot of people, or a decent amount of people, enjoyed Ender's Shadow. But is it like one of those series that I'm going to stick with? I don't know, because there's just so many books out there, and I rarely do series unless it's like an epic series, something like Lord of the Rings. Couldn't put it down. In my opinion, probably the best series of all time, honestly. Those 3 books, specifically for me, The Fellowship of the Ring, but that's a different topic for a different day. Ender's Shadow was definitely worth my time. I liked it, honestly, just as good as Ender's Game, from what I remember of Ender's Game. They're a little bit different from each other. I think Bean has a good backstory, and I think you'll like Bean too, especially if you're somebody who is into politics and fascinated by people being a little bit different and having to overcome obstacles in their life to get to where they are. I do like those. I do like stories where people basically have to come from either nothing in terms of poverty, or they have to physically overcome something. It's hard to beat stories like that, and a lot of people can relate to that through reading Ender's Shadow. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Ender's Shadow. Did you like it better than Ender's Game, or did you like it more than Ender's Game? I'm curious to know. If you liked what you watched, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, where I plan on doing more movie reviews, television show reviews, and book reviews, because I've been reading more than watching television, because the market's so saturated right now with just fillers. It's not... I would rather read a book, honestly. I would rather read a good book. And I'm also watching Star Trek The Next Generation. Of course, it came out in the 80s, but the messaging is still on point for life in 2025. If we acted more like people in Star Trek, the society, we would have a better society, a very well-read, more empathetic society to other people's conditions. I think you would agree with me on that. Ender's Shadow by Orson Scott Card, I liked it. I'm not going to say it's better than Ender's Game. I'm not going to say it's worse than Ender's Game. I like them both about the same. One's more action-based, Ender's Game, and one's more based on humble beginnings, overcoming obstacles, and talking in terms more of geopolitics, Ender's Shadow. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, again, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and let me know in the comments what you thought of Ender's Shadow by Orson Scott Card. Thanks for watching.